So that people use ghetto for black because of the fact that black people did not create ghetto. As a matter of fact, ghettos existed before black people even had their own place to live. When the ghettos was first created, which was back when Europeans was moving here, when indentured servants was moving here, and people was moving to America, they were actually moving into these cities, and the cities were so overcrowded because of all of the people moving into these small areas that they created ghettos where people lived on top of each other. When ghettos was first created, black people were still on the farm. They were still slaves. So why black people are thought of as ghetto, I would not understand. On top of the fact of why it is that we are being judged for our culture when it's not our fault, but actually white people's fault that we don't have that whole nice, pretty white picket fence culture. You know, they judge us because, you know, I think to myself a lot of times, I want my daughter to see. I want black kids to see the hood movies and the shows and and the things about thugs and drugs and guns and violence, and there's a lot of good things to learn from those. You know, boys in the hood, Juice, Harlem Nights. You know, they like, oh, we don't want you to see that. We don't want little kids watching that. That's not appropriate. And this is a culture that was pushed upon us because when we was out here, you know, we didn't have the option. Black people attempted to make their own cities and they were taken from them. Black people attempted to make their own companies, to make their own way, to be the self-made man, to have the happy home where it's a man and a wife and kids. If you look back historically, not very many black men or black families actually had a bunch of kids. First thing first, they couldn't afford it. Most of them didn't have more than 2 or 3 kids unless the husband actually left or came into the family having other kids already. That was usually Europeans who had many kids. They didn't have that many kids. So we didn't have big families like that. So we was already good. We had our little companies. We was working, you know, doing us. We was trying to make the American dream. As a matter of fact, when the black man got off the motherfucking farm, he was still trying to please the white man. He's still trying to, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, master, no, master. Doing everything he didn't learn to do all of these years. Attempting to be respectful. And what did people say? We'll make a union so you can't get a job because you're taking our jobs. We'll push you into the ghettos. We'll take your cities away from you. And what's funny to me is like, you got to know how crazy black people got to be for them to actually leave a farm with nothing. I don't got no clothes. I don't got no food. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how far away it is. I don't know when I'm getting there. Matter of fact, I don't even know who picking me up. Black folks can't do that now. You trying to leave a black person's house? You might not even live there. This might be your white friend who live down the street. Come over to your house and hang out and try to leave the house and watch your mama. Oh, excuse me, where you going? I'm going home. Is your mama outside? No. So where you going? How you getting there? Who picking you up? When you leaving? When you coming back? Are you gonna have your phone on you? I remember trying to leave the house. You had to know who, what, where, when, why, how, and every other which way. You had to know when you was getting there, when you was coming back, who was picking you up, who was dropping you off, who was gonna be there. Are there gonna be adults? Has your parents met them? Don't let them be Christians. They better be Christians. If your parents is Christians, what y'all doing? Why you want to go? How many of your friends gonna be there? How much money you need? You had to know every single detail. And black folks was going to the ghettos. Black folks was moving to New York, didn't have a clue. Moving into these ghettos, pushed into these little areas because they had no other choice. They had to take what they can get. They started with nothing and had to create something out of it. And yet now, the ghetto is somehow synonymous to black folks. And we ain't never created it. We have had nothing to do with the ghetto except for having no choice but to move into these areas and overpopulate ghettos and cities and and urban areas because we have been manipulated into moving into these areas. We have been pushed into these areas. We have not had a choice. So when people say ghetto to me, it makes me mad. And I correct them every time. I don't care if you say hood, because black people had took that on. We don't like to be called African American no more. We like to be called black. So I don't want you to say ghetto no more or urban no more. I want you to say hood. Urban is city. We know black folks literally created cities, but ain't never got credit for city unless it was something negative. So don't say ghetto or urban to me. You say hood.